I woke up and walked away. The turning point came yesterday, like something from a storybook, where everybody turned to look. I can feel this changing. I feel like I let you down.
Hello, and welcome to A New Road Home. My name is David Ortiz, and today's topic is probably the most important one that I'll discuss here. The situation is getting tense. The pandemic and the possibility of economic collapse is a very intimidating premise to be faced with. I think it's time that we do something before we don't have an option to do anything. I think that the people in power right now want to maintain power and control. See, if you don't know already, United States gets its money from the Federal Reserve. Now, the Federal Reserve is outside of the United States government. It's not a part of the government. Even though it's called Federal Reserve, it is not a part of our government. We have no jurisdiction over them. They're not subject to our laws or disciplining. We have no way to control them. Yet we borrow money from them yearly, trillions of dollars, with interest. They are a privately owned organization, an organization of rich bankers, families that descend from original American tycoons. Now, in the past, in American history, the United States faced economic failure, and the bailout was done by wealthy men. And these men later on got together and proposed a bill to Woodrow Wilson, who signed, giving them complete power to print money and control the currency of the United States. Within this document, or contract that was passed, it stated that the United States, when borrowing money, would have to pay back in gold. Now, I don't know if there's any gold left in Fort Knox or owned by our government, and even if there is gold in there, it's probably not ours anymore. After signing the Federal Reserve Act, Woodrow Wilson was quoted later as saying, so the Federal Reserve has the ability to print up as much money as it wants. So as far as the dollar could lose its effectiveness, but it can't even really do that because these men that are the Federal Reserve are also the World Bank and they're also the Bank of England. It's all been the same organization. And logic tells you this because you can't have two countries have their two monetary systems that are separate from each other, because if they were, then there's no way to equate them. You can't, because they'd say that my DVD player is worth this much, our DVD player is worth this much, but you can't equate the two because there's no common ground. So the only way you can have common ground and equalize things, have the dollar be worth more than a Deutschmark, the money has to be borrowed from the same place. So the World Bank, Bank of England, Federal Reserve, they're all just different names for the same entity, and they control. So when people talk about the government and corruption, the government has no control over what it's doing. It has to do what it has to do. I think we ran out of gold a while back, and I think we've been under the direction of the World Bank Federal Reserve System. In fact, that's why they've caused wars in other countries as well, is to instill democracies within countries, which is just another way of saying instilling the Federal Reserve System or Federal Reserve Bank. So being that they can print up the money themselves, economic collapse is in their hands. It always has been. The Great Depression was in their hands. The stock market crashing. The stock market raising and lowering is all according to the whim of the amount of money that's printed out. Because the money cycles into Federal Reserve banks all across the country, they can retract or let out as much money as they want at whatever time they want. It's always just been a game. It's always been them controlling. It's not about products or merchandise or those are just means to cover it.
And she slept so